Welcome back to another episode of the A Sports Podcast. My name's Art, here with my brother Alex.
What's going on, guys? What's going on?
If you guys are enjoying the content, please consider subscribing, drop a like, leave a comment. Really appreciate it, and it helps out the podcast. We are going to record our MMA recap. We had already recorded this, but as some of you saw, we had no audio. Don't know what happened. I went back and tried to fix it. I just couldn't find the audio. I don't know what happened to it. So we're going to re-record this. So excuse us if we move a little faster than we usually do. Let's get started with Friday night. Paige Van Zant made her BKFC debut at KnuckleMania, and she came up just short against Hart. Alex, talk to me about this fight. What'd you think of Paige Van Zant in BKFC?
You know what? I applaud Paige Van Zant for going out there and, doing something she didn't have to do. All right? I mean, we can give her credit for that, but I did see the same Paige Van Zant that was in the UFC, just hesitant to pull the trigger, couldn't really get her stand-up combinations going, not a really good jab, no 1-2, nothing basic either. So I don't know, maybe it was something, the uncertainty of being in a bare knuckle fight. I'm sure she hadn't sparred bare knuckle. I'm sure she hadn't never been in a bare knuckle fight. So, I'm sure she didn't know how it was going to feel. So, I mean, all in all, you know what? Hart came out and she got the upset. I mean, I felt like there was a few things that Paige Van Zant can work on. I'm sure she knows as well. She could have let go of the clinch. I know it's harder speaking from the outside in. But I think, she could have let go of the clinch. I felt like she was getting tagged a lot in the clinch. And she could have, let both hands go instead of, holding with one hand and then getting punished by two hands. So, I mean, but all in all, she made some good money. $400,000 in 10 minutes. What else can you ask for?
Yeah.
No, $400,000 in 10 minutes.
Yeah, by no means am I knocking her hustle. Like we said on the preview, if this is what she wants to do, then more power to her. Go ahead and do it. But, she did look very uncomfortable in there. Like you said, very hesitant. And I don't think that's something that can be taken away. I don't think that's something that she could learn to just stop being hesitant, And she that just seems like her style, and, that's who she is. As far as Hart, are you excited that she won?
Well, not really, because I hadn't really heard about her. I know she fought Rowdy Beck Rollins, who also fought for the UFC. But I mean, I hadn't really heard of her. I'm sure Paige Van Zant's still going to be a bigger star than her. I just feel like she's not really marketable per se, and it's nothing to knock Hart. I'm just saying, I'm stating facts.
Yeah, no.
I mean, it's the truth, right? Paige Van Zant was basically brought there to, blow past Hart. She just couldn't get the job done. So
to be the superstar.
Yeah, I mean, I hope that Hart gets that chance because she won it. She won this fight, and she deserves that chance. Okay, but unfortunately, I think
how
politics
works.
The politics of the business. That's just how it works, and that's how it is. So, yeah, I mean, hopefully Paige. I mean, I'm hearing that Paige Van Zant's still gonna come back, still gonna fight in Bare Knuckle FC. Hopefully, she can get some good boxing coaches and. I don't know, hopefully just be more comfortable in there in the stand-up game because, bare knuckle fighting, it's, you can get cut really easy it's bare knuckle. You can get cut real easy. I mean, I don't think there was a fight on this card where somebody didn't bleed because somebody was bleeding and there was cuts everywhere. So
swelling, really bad swelling.
Yeah, you can mess your face up pretty bad. So you got to really think about it. This is what you want to do. But hey, $400,000 in 10 minutes. I would get in there 400,000 in 10 minutes.
Sounds good to me. I definitely think we see Paige Van Zant back in the BKFC, but I don't know how successful she'll be if she continues with the same coaches and the same game plan because you could see those MMA tendencies, in the ring, how she just kind of try to deflect punches. Like this is more, you got to be a little closed guard in a bare knuckle type of fight or just a straight up boxing fight. But hopefully, like you said, hopefully she does get some solid boxing coaches and works on her craft. And I'm sure she could do big things.
Hopefully.
On the undercard, there was a 135-pound championship fight, I guess we could say, between Dat Win, who was the challenger, and Bedford, who was the champion. And this was a really good fight.
Yeah,
good 5-round decision, close fight. Dat Win ends up being the new champion, and I think he made a lot of fans because that fight was crazy.
Definitely.
Any thoughts on that fight?
You know what? Bedford was talking a lot of smack to Gwyn. Mm-hmm. He was definitely telling him he was going to F him up, this and that. And Gwyn he gave him a boxing lesson because he put his combinations together very well. And I thought Bedford was actually the bigger guy. So, but Gwyn, I thought Gwyn carried the harder pop. And I felt like he was able to really counter him. With his looping shots, it's hard to get away from him, especially in bare knuckle. You don't have the big gloves. So it's easier to get around the guard with with your hooks, your uppercuts, things like that. So yeah, it was a very impressive win for Gwyn.
I thought Bedford did some good things from the outside, but it's just like you said, Gwyn was able to get himself inside and was definitely able to take the fight to Bedford and make him uncomfortable. Would you watch? What'd you think of BK? Oh, and Chris Lieben. Chris Lieben fought his final fight of his career, according to him. Any thoughts on that?
You know what? Chris Lieben's had one hell of a career. And you know what? Tip my hat off to the guy. He's done it all, and in his last fight, he's still swinging like like a madman, a man possessed. Knocked out his guy, and I mean, what can you say from Chris Lieben? A true guy that he loves a fight. Yep. And boy, did he put on a good fight. So you know what? Tip my hat off to him. He has had a great career, and good luck to everything else that he does. He decides to do in his future.
What'd you think of the show in overall?
You know what? It was good. You know what? I mean, I'm not really used to seeing bare knuckle FC. I mean, the only reason I really watched it was because Paige Van Zant was the main event. Mm-hmm. But you know what? I wouldn't mind seeing some people get knocked out on Friday night. Yep. And call me cruel, whatever. But you know what? I grew up watching boxing a lot, so I'm used to seeing guys get knocked out. So you know what? I don't mind it. I'm always up to see a good bare fist fight.
Yeah. But would you watch it over like a MMA fight? Say if it was on the same night as the card that we're going to talk about, Overeem Volkov, would you watch Overeem Volkov or would you watch BKFC?
Most likely UFC, just because, you know what? I think bare knuckle needs to have those big names in order for people to really be, interested in watching the fight.
Yeah. I mean, I don't really need to see big names, but I need to see, some polished, good fights.
Yeah.
I just don't want to see these guys just rush in there and headbutt each other and freaking blow knees out and complain about eye pokes. And it's just some of the antics and some of the earlier fights were pretty bad. But then if you weed out the bad fights and you put on a card with just the good fights, I thought it was a solid card.
I thought it was very solid. I really liked it.
Yeah, so I wouldn't mind watching it again. I think they have some growing to do, BKFC, but I think they can do something. I'm not saying they could be huge, but they could do something.
What did you think about Chris Lieben?
You know what? Chris Lieben has been around probably longer than a lot of us thought he would be. Very interesting fighter, interesting career. He fought Anderson Silva in Anderson Silva's UFC debut, and he's kind of partially known for that. And then also, I think he was in the Ultimate Fighter, wasn't he? Yeah. So, I mean, he's known more for being a wild man, but I think it's a good decision to walk away on top after a nice victory.
Nice.
Saturday night, we had UFC Fight Night from Las Vegas, where Alexander Volkov destroyed Alistair Overeem with a second round knockout. Talk to me about Volkov real quick, and what'd you think of his performance?
You know what? Alexander Volkov looked really good in this fight. You know what? He put his combinations together very well. It looked like he just looked sharper on his feet. You know, he was able to use his jab, able to use his 1-2, his jab and his straight right. Just, it looked like he was able to flow his punches better. His combinations, you know, his 1-2, his 1-2-3, getting it around the guard of Alistair Overeem. And he just looked faster. His hands looked faster. And it looked like he was just more comfortable, able to flow his combinations in there very well. And he showed his power.
Well, a guy that height and that length,
His reach.
to be able to box on, you know, from the outside like that and really put a beating on Overeem, I was really impressed because, you know, it's going to be hard for anybody to come inside of a guy who is throwing solid jabs, solid long punches. You're not going to want to get close.
Yeah.
You know, you're going to want to stay on the outside if he's landing punches like that. Talk to me about Alistair Overeem. I mean, he didn't look comfortable in there. He looked like he got tagged a couple times and just wasn't the same after that.
You know, I'm not too sure what Alistair Overeem wants to do. You know, this was his last run at a title. You know, that's what he said in several interviews. You know, I hope he is able to maybe hang it up, call it a career. You know, there's some tough guys at the top of that division. You know, you got Francis Ngannou, Stipe Miocic, Alexander Volkov, who just completely destroyed him. And, you know, I mean, what else do you really have left to prove? You know, I know you want UFC gold, but, I mean, at this point, you don't want to take too much punishment either. So, I mean, if I was Alistair Overeem and it was my last run, I can't really see a good, you know, route to the title. You know, call it a career, and you know, hopefully he's able to do that on his own terms, and he knows when to walk away. Because you know, there's some hard hitting guys in the heavyweight division right now: Derek Lewis, Francis Ngannou, Alexander Volkov, Miocic. Even though he beat Miocic, but you know, Miocic is a different fighter now.
Rosenstrike.
Yeah, Rosenstrike that you know completely tore his lip in half. I mean, these guys all hit hard. So, you know, hopefully he knows when to walk away. So, I mean, but hey, good luck in anything else that he decides to do. If he decides to fight still, who are we to say, you know, hang him up?
Yeah, definitely. Legendary career. I don't think he needs to do much else to cement his legacy. I think his legacy is, you know, his resume lines up with any of the great, you know, heavyweights. Not going to say he's the greatest of all time, but he's one of the best of all time.
Yeah, definitely a legend.
Yeah, definitely a legend. If it was up to you, who would Volkov go up against next?
It depends. You know what? He can get a rematch with Derek Lewis. A lot of people were saying, you know, he was winning that entire fight against Derek Lewis, and then he kind of, you know, just let his guard down and got clipped with a straight right hand that floored him. So, you know, maybe Derek Lewis, who was it, Curtis Blades that he fought?
I believe so, if I'm not mistaken, yeah.
Hopefully, you know, he can get a rematch with Curtis Blades, but, you know, a lot of people are saying kind of stay away from the wrestlers for right now. They're not, you know, Alexander Volkov still needs to improve in that department. But, yeah, you know, hopefully one of those two guys, I mean, if he's able to get a title shot, I would love to see him and Francis Ngannou going at it because let me tell you, that probably the two guys that hit the hardest in the division. So, I mean, who doesn't want to see somebody's going to get knocked down in that fight? And
he matches Ngannou's height and length.
Yeah.
Which could be a problem. I mean, which could be a problem for both guys because, you know, when you're usually the one that enjoys a reach advantage or a height advantage. Now there's a guy similar to you that's matched up, you know, pretty evenly. It'll throw you off.
How do you stop a guy like Francis Ngannou right now? I mean, you saw what happened against Rosenstruck. Francis Ngannou just charged him. He was like, boom, boom, boom. And then by the time Rosenstruck knew it, he was backed up against the cage. And that's it. One shot landed. It was over.
Got hit by that Ford Escort you were talking about.
Yeah, that Ford Escorts. I said a Ford Focus, guys. I'm sorry. It was a Ford Escort that they were talking about. No, they really measured his power at the UFC PI.
And that's what they
it said it's the equivalent of a Ford Escort going full speed.
Full speed?
Full speed.
Dang.
What is that got to tell you about Ford Escorts?
That they hit hard?
That's duh. Look at this guy. He's knocking guys out with one punch.
You were saying how somebody stops Ngannou. I think what Miocic did is the way to stop it. Instead of going back, you have to smother. You have to try to smother and take him down.
And you got to have good head movement because one false move and it's over.
And let's be real. You're going to have to weather the early storm because Ngannou could pack a punch early and he's a lot faster, obviously, a lot fresher. If you can weather that early storm, get inside of him and maybe take him down, tire him out. Who knows if he packs the same power for 3 rounds? Yeah.
I mean, I think people need to be, I think they need to thank God that Francis Ngannou's not a skilled wrestler because with his with his brute power that this guy has, I mean, imagine what he could do if he was a really good wrestler. I mean, he would strangle guys with no issue because he's just that type of specimen.
Yeah, I completely agree. Anything else between Overeem and Volkov?
No. You know what? I think that was all we had to say about that fight.
All right. Moving on to the co-main event, we had Cory Sandhagen taking on Frankie Edgar, and as you can see, Sandhagen knocked him out with a very, very nasty knee. First, we want to say that Frankie Edgar did get up. He was up and conscious when they read the decision. Have you read anything about Frankie Edgar? Has he done any interviews or anything?
No, you know what? I was trying to look for some. Maybe if he would have posted on Instagram or something. I was looking up on his page. He hadn't posted anything. Although I haven't checked it as of a couple hours. So, hopefully he put something up soon. And, I'm just glad he got up okay.
Yeah, definitely. But, man, what a knockout by Sandhagen.
Yeah, I mean.
Sandhagen just timed that knee perfectly. It was 28 seconds in, so it's hard to say, he did this well in the fight. He did that well in the fight. He pretty much just baited in Frankie Edgar, to land that big knee. What's next for Sandhagen?
I'm not really sure. You know what? A lot of people are saying title shot. I think he needs to probably just wait it out, see if Peter Yan and Aljamain Sterling, who wins out of those two. Cody Garbrandt's talking he wants to fight Jose Aldo. So yeah, I mean, I think that's the only route for Cory Sandhagen right now, I think. But yeah, you know what? I hated to watch this one. Frankie Edgar's always been one of my favorite fighters, and this is just what happens, when you stick around for a long time, and I thought, Frankie Edgar was trying to close the distance. He was either going to go for a takedown or an overhand right. That's what it looked like. And that flying knee came quick. I mean, he literally threw it fast. Yes. So, I mean, even if Frankie Edgar saw it coming, I mean, there was nothing he could really do. He just ran right into it. It was a perfect shot. And that's what happens sometimes. You get caught.
Yeah. And I mean, as long as Sandhagen is, I went back and looked at the replay a couple times, and in slow-mo, like his knee, when he's standing straight up, is pretty close to where Frankie Edgar's head was.
Oh, yeah.
Sandhagen is a tall guy. So when Frankie Edgar is crouching down, maybe going for the takedown, maybe trying to throw that overhand right, he's pretty much already, in position to take a knee. And the knee doesn't have to travel too far because of how tall Sandhagen is.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, Sandhagen is great, great move, great performance. And, yeah, like you said, I'd be interested to see him fight Peter Yan if Peter Yan beats Aljamain Sterling. Now, if Aljamain Sterling wins, there's, of course, Aljamain Sterling
choked him out in the first round.
Submitted him in the first round. And, do you really want to see a rematch between those two after that happened? So there's going to be some question marks. But he, after losing to Aljamain Sterling, knocking out Marlon Moraes, knocking out Frankie Edgar, I mean, I think he's in line for a title shot.
Yeah. You know what? I can't argue with that one. I think, Cory Sandhagen took that loss to Aljamain Sterling. he was the prospect coming up. A lot of people were, a lot of people picked Cory Sandhagen to beat Aljamain Sterling.
I believe Sandhagen was the favorite.
Yeah, he was the favorite to win that fight. And he was on a tear. So, for him to get choked out in the first round, but then to come back from that, to knock out Marlon Moraes, and now to knock out Frankie Edgar. And you don't just knock out Frankie Edgar, I think, now that he's older, it's happened, I think, 3 times in his career that he's been knocked out, this being the 3rd time, I think. Hopefully Frankie Edgar can, if he's not going to get a title shot at 135, if he's just going to be, fighting maybe some of these, up and coming guys, maybe it would be a good time to call it a career, but I don't really know what to say. I mean, I just, good luck in anything else that he does.
Definitely. And if he does continue to fight, like you said earlier, he has also been a favorite of mine. So I'll definitely be rooting for him. But of course, you want to see these guys go out on top and not,
fight longer than you have
damaged,
to.
Yeah.
Not throw Chuck Liddell, because Chuck Liddell did stay in there longer than he had to, and it didn't end up too well for him. I mean, he did get knocked out several times.
Yeah, definitely. On the undercard, we saw Clay Guida get a nice win over Michael Johnson. He was able to outwork him and, pretty much tire him out. And in that 3rd round, Michael Johnson.
Impressive win for Clay Guida, because I think he was the underdog, right?
Yes, definitely. Michael Johnson was definitely the favorite. So, and Clay Guida asked for, he asked Dana White for some young guys, some young up and comers. He doesn't want to fight these veteran type fights.
Hey, Clay Guida's been around. You know what? Sometimes experience can beat a younger guy.
Definitely. Anybody else on the undercard that you want to talk about?
The Alexander Pantoja had a pretty good win. What happened to Cody Staman's fight? I was trying to find the results and I didn't find anything. Did they cancel his fight?
I don't know. I didn't see anything either about it.
No? Oh, okay. Well, because I did see it before
the fight.
Yeah,
right?
before the card started. But then once the card started, they took it off of the ESPN where they show all the results and stuff. Yeah. So I don't know what happened. Maybe it might have been COVID, or I don't even know if they fought because I didn't see it. But yeah, you know what? Overall, it was some good fights. Not much else to say, really. What about you? No. What'd you think of the card?
The card was pretty good. Of course, to the casual fan, the top 3 fights are usually the more known guys, but some of the fights on the undercard were pretty good. Ferreira and Dariush had a pretty good fight also. Yeah. Any last comments on UFC Fight Night?
No, not really.
We'll be back next week with some boxing. We have Jojo Diaz defending his version of the 130-pound title. I believe there's a UFC card, if I'm not mistaken, on February 13th also. So
it's Kamaru Usman and Gilbert Burns.
That's right, Kamaru Usman, Gilbert.
That's going to be a good fight. You guys need to watch that.
And it's going to be a good card.
Yeah, definitely.
Card. So we'll be back to preview those later this week. If you guys haven't already, go back and check out our Super Bowl recap video and all the other videos. Make sure you guys subscribe, drop a like, leave a comment. We would really appreciate that. And thank you guys for watching this episode of the AA Sports Podcast. And we'll talk to you guys next time.
Peace out, guys. Thanks a lot.